Titled this sermon series that we're beginning today, The Telltale Heart. We heard scripture reading about the heart today. Now, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the short story, The Telltale Heart, but it was written by Edgar Allan Poe. And it was kind of gruesome, so I'm not going to go into all the details, but I will tell you this. The gist of the story, the main point of the story is that a man had killed someone else, but he kept hearing their heartbeat forever and ever and ever. And it's so true that our heart gives us away. Our heart will give us direction, show us where we're going, show us what we really care about. And we can do that as kind of a group together. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about as a heart, as a group. Our congregation has a heart to share. And I think it's an obvious one when I look around this church and I see the love and the care, I see the way we take care of each other. I understand the heart of the church, at least somewhat. I'm beginning to learn more and more about that. But one thing I'm sure of, and I'm positive about this, the scriptures say it so well, ministry flows from our heart. It doesn't come from our brain, but ministry really flows from our heart. To the extent that we're involved in the ministry and the life of the church, it comes from our heart and not from a guilty conscience, not from our brain telling us what we should do. What happens is we respond to God's love being poured into our heart, and we begin to share our heart and the love we have with other people. What is in your heart is what you live out. What a great scriptural truth. What is in your heart today as you come and gather for worship? Because surely you're going to be living that out. It's going to show, it's going to be a telltale heart for you because it's going to tell the story of your life. It's so true in every aspect of our life, and especially in our faith life. Our faith life truly reveals what's in our heart. It was a great time for me this fall as I had an opportunity and to meet with so many of you in small groups. We had these wonderful meet and greets, and I met over 200 people from the church. And I always ask one question in that group. And those of you that went should remember the question. Tell me one thing you love about our church. Isn't that a great question today? I want you to begin to think about one thing today that you love about our church. When I did that at the meet and greets, the variety of answers I got was amazing. I thought maybe there'd be one predominant answer, one that would really kind of take the lead, something like, well, you know what I really love about our church? Our new pastor. or what I really love about our church? Our new music director. But we didn't get those answers, Tim. I don't know what happened to us. We got left out for the most part. But I heard a lot of good things, and there really wasn't one that jumped out, but there were so many that jumped out. And I heard things over and over again. I did hear from many people that what a wonderful music group we have and how the choirs and how wonderful that is. I also heard a lot of people talk about their classes, their Sunday school classes or their small group, and said, this is really one thing I love about our church, that I can go to this class and I can have discussions and people will listen to me and I can listen to them and we can grow in our faith together. There were some people that said, well, the church is my family. I have no other family in this area, and the church has become my family. And that's what I love about the church. Some people love the fact that the ministries we have to youth and to children, so many things that people love about our church. So as we think about those things, as you're beginning to think, if you didn't answer that question in a meet and greet, if you begin to think now, what one thing do I love about our church? And then I have a follow-up question for you to go along with that one. Where in our church do you see Jesus at work? This is an extremely important question for me. I think it's significant and important, but I have to be honest with you, I'm a Jesus guy. I love Jesus with my whole heart, and so I want to know, where do you see Jesus at work? I look around, and I can see Jesus at work in many places, but it's important that we all can look around and say, Where is Jesus working in our church right now? What is happening that we know God has God's hand on, and we know exciting and wonderful things are going to happen? Amazing things are happening here. I don't know if you realize that or not. Sometimes we get in a pattern at church, and we come week after week, or we don't come week after week. We come every third week, or whenever we come and whenever we're here. But we get into a pattern, and we fail to look around to see what's happening. There is new life blooming everywhere. This last weekend, we had this wonderful, amazing event in our parking lot, Trunk or Treat. Trunk or Treat is an opportunity for the church to claim a piece of what has become America's second biggest holiday, and saying that we're going to make this something that's not just what you do in your neighborhoods and not what you do dressing up. This is becoming a thing where we want you to come to church. We want you to be here because we've got something to offer. We've got safety and friendship. We've got love and outreach to offer. And it was an amazing event. We had over 750 people come. My car was the first one in line, and I kept looking, and I didn't think the line was ever going to stop. I kept looking at my bags of candy going, oh, I'm going to have to start giving half pieces of candy because they were coming, and it was an amazing thing, and we all worked together. There were young people, there were families, there were chronologically gifted people serving, all kinds of folks. We served over 500 hot dogs. It was an amazing thing. We had some adults that went through the line that were challenged, and they went through for candy, and we willingly gave the candy out. In fact, they may have went through more than once. But you see, it was an opportunity to share the love of God in a concrete way, in a visible way. I mean, I was amazed and excited by what I saw. I hope you were too. I hope you were ecstatic about the life that our church is providing in this community. Jesus is at work in our church. Jesus is at work in so many places. I see everywhere what God is doing, and it is amazing. I see God at work in the boot drive we just had. Wasn't that an amazing thing? We collected over, I think now, 100 pair of boots for needy children in our community. Jesus is at work. It's an amazing thing. I saw it in our fair booth. We passed out over 6,000 bottles of water. And what did we want for those bottles of water? Nothing. All we wanted to do was share the love of God in a concrete way. To give a thirsty person a bottle of water. I think there's something very biblical about that. I saw Jesus at work when I would go to the fair and watch the looks on your faces as you worked in the booth, to see the joy you were having in just sharing with people. It was amazing. I see God at work as we've now begun to give free meals on Wednesday night to people that need to be fed. It's funny because it's like someone asked me, well, how are we going to pay for these free meals? And I said, I don't have a clue. I don't know. But I know Jesus is at work. And it's important to continue that work and to open our doors. I see Jesus at work as we threw together, and it was so amazing when things happened rapidly, these personal growth classes, and to see people that have never been in our church coming to Wednesday night and being a part of it. And when I see 100 people eating a meal in the fellowship hall on Wednesday night, I see Jesus at work. And I see Jesus at work as right now without a children's ministries director, how we've had volunteers stepping forward, and I could name them, but I'd leave out somebody. But so many of you have stepped forward and said, I'll do children's chapel, I'll do Sunday school, I'll help out. And we've seen it. I've seen it in our preschool ministries as I've watched them minister to needy families and take care of those that are coming. I've seen it in so many of our staff now, who have a new commitment to ministry, and they understand that ministry is a full-time job, that ministry is something you can't walk away from because the weekend comes or because it's your day off, but you know you're in ministry. I see Jesus at work. These things are happening in the life of our church, and these are probably just a few. I'm just seeing what I see. I'll bet we could have you stand up and you could tell me other things you see. But these things happen because of generosity, because people share from their hearts. We show extravagant generosity in how we spend our time, in how we spend our money, in how we spend our energy. Jesus is calling us to serve extravagantly in the church. Think about where you want to serve. What would you like to be doing? We have ministries for you. We have existing ministries for you. We have one that you can start, and we can do those ministries. But we do that with extravagant generosity of time, energy, and resources. We demonstrate extravagant generosity in how we give. Ministry, as wonderful as it is in this church, cannot happen without your financial support, without your gifts. I encourage you to keep that generosity of spirit, that generosity of giving going. It makes a difference not only in keeping the doors of the church open, but it makes a difference in the lives of those in our community whom we touch with that generosity through our ministries. We cannot do ministry without your support. We do food, we do gas, we do clothing. We have actually just sent money to help in the Ebola effort. We do disaster relief, and all of that is happening thanks to you and thanks to your generosity. We could not do ministries in our music, with our children, with our youth, without your generosity. Your generosity which flows from the heart. Generosity makes a difference beyond our sight, our time, and our reach. We will never see some of those that benefit from our generosity. We will never meet them or know their names. We are here today because we stand on the shoulders of those that have went before us. We stand on giant shoulders, and those that come after us will stand on our shoulders. Those who are yet to come will benefit from our generosity and our care and love of the church. Someone said I should always tell a story when I wear one of my stoles, and I thought about that, and I thought, I would be up here without a robe or a stole today without the generosity of others. This particular stole was given to me at the end of my youth ministry by my youth group. It was a missions fund that they found this, and they gave this to me, and every time I wear it, I think of those youth who are now no longer youth, but I still think of their generosity. And some of you have known, I have the names of 27 persons from a prayer group that are sewn into the hem of this garment. And they surround me every time I preach in this garment. Many of those have passed on. Many of those should have candles lit in other churches today because they have surrounded me with a great cloud of witnesses. They have supported me in my ministry in so many ways. And that's what happens for all of us. Through your generosity, we can achieve God's purpose in this place. We can live out God's vision for First United Methodist Church in Auburn, Indiana. We can be the hands and feet of God. Think about that. Think about how your generosity impacts so many others. We are called to be generous with our time, our energy, our monies, our love, and our action. Sharing good deeds results in caring ministries to others, and it creates a vibrant life in our community for us as individuals and for us as a community of faith. Why do we give? Well, I give to help the ministry of Jesus here in this place. Why do I give extravagantly? I give extravagantly because I want to see people's lives changed. I want to see people touched who are hurting or in pain or lonely or hungry. I want to reach out to people who have never felt the love of Jesus or met Jesus personally. I want to reach out to those who do not know how amazing our God is. We're doing amazing ministries here. Nora Maupin in the office has really got a passion now for reaching out to others, and she's working, and we're providing food boxes for people that come in, and she told me how powerfully that impacted her the first time she was able to do that. We're doing it in all these ministries where we reach out through bottles of water and candy and hot dogs and mostly the love of God to others. Great things happen in the church when we reach out with extravagant generosity. Great things happen in our lives. Great things happen to those around us. Great things will happen in our church if we can continue to reach out with this kind of love to others. Extravagant generosity, giving from the heart is so important. And I want you to think about that. Think about where you fit into that wonderful picture of God's grace and God's giving. How much more can we reach out? How much more can we touch the lives of others? How much more generous can we be when God's love flows into our heart? Our heart should be bursting with generosity and love and a willingness to reach out to others. Great things will continue to happen here tomorrow, the day after, next week, next month, 10 years from now because of your generosity. Think about the part you play in the ministry of the church, giving your time, your love, your action, your energy, your resources to make ministry happen here. Great things happen through Jesus and the love of Christ that we share with others. Ask God today, what does God want you to do? How does God want you to show extravagant generosity in the ministry of our church to make a difference in the world? Not just inside the walls of our church, but outside in the world around us. And not just for today, but for tomorrow and beyond. May God bless us with hearts that are generous, filled to overflowing with love, action, and giftedness to others. May it be so for me